Hidden for 1,000 years. Ancient Chinese inventors discovered magnetic navigation while practicing divination. They weren't trying to navigate at all. What they accidentally found would reshape the entire world. Picture this. It's the 3rd century BCE. Chinese metallurgists are working with a mysterious black stone called lodestone. They notice something strange. When they place iron near it, the iron moves on its own. At first, they think it's magic. Some call it the loving stone because it seems to attract metal the way a mother attracts her children. But here's where it gets really interesting. These ancient craftsmen weren't trying to build navigational tools. They were crafting divination boards for fortune telling. These boards, called Si-Nan, featured a spoon-shaped lodestone that would spin and settle pointing in a specific direction. Every single time. The same direction. Without fail. And that direction? Always south. The ancient Chinese didn't know about magnetic fields or planetary physics. But they had just stumbled onto one of the most important scientific discoveries in human history. The question is, how did they figure out what to do with it? For nearly 1,000 years, the Si-Nan remained a tool for fortune tellers and geomancers. But something was changing in China. The Tang dynasty brought unprecedented trade expansion. Merchants traveled thousands of miles along the Silk Road. Ships sailed to distant lands. And suddenly, knowing which direction you were heading became a matter of life and death. And the evidence reveals something unexpected. Ancient texts from this period describe travelers who could find their way through trackless deserts and open seas. How? European historians were baffled. These routes had no landmarks. The stars were often obscured by clouds or sandstorms. Yet Chinese traders navigated them with remarkable accuracy. The answer lay in those divination workshops. Someone, somewhere, realized that the pointing stone didn't just predict the future. It could guide you through the present. If you always knew where south was, you could never truly be lost. But here's what makes this even more remarkable. The technology that emerged wasn't just accurate. It was ingenious in ways we're still appreciating today. What archaeologists found next changed everything. In excavations across China, researchers discovered something remarkable. Not just lodestone spoons, but magnetized iron needles. Thin, delicate needles that had been deliberately rubbed against lodestone to transfer its magnetic properties. But here's the thing. Iron needles were far more practical than heavy lodestone spoons. They were lighter, easier to transport, and most importantly, they could float. Ancient Chinese inventors discovered that if you placed a magnetized needle on a small piece of reed or straw floating in still water, it would slowly rotate. And it would keep rotating until it pointed north and south. Think about that for a second. No electricity. No modern physics knowledge. No understanding of magnetic fields. Just careful observation and brilliant improvisation. They even developed multiple mounting methods. Some needles hung from silk threads. Others balanced on fingernails or rested on the edge of cups. Each method had advantages for different situations. Desert caravans needed something stable despite constant motion. Ships needed something that worked despite the rocking of waves. And they solved these engineering problems through pure trial and error. By the Song dynasty, around 1000 CE, Chinese navigators had transformed the floating needle into a sophisticated navigation system. And the real answer is even more impressive than the tool itself. They didn't just have compasses. They had integrated them into a complete maritime knowledge system. Ancient nautical texts from this period describe detailed compass readings for specific routes. Captains passed down generations of accumulated directional data. Turn south-southwest when you see this island. Head east-southeast for exactly 3 days to reach that port. The compass wasn't just pointing north. It was unlocking centuries of carefully documented navigation intelligence. Meanwhile, in Europe, sailors were still hugging coastlines. They relied on landmarks, the position of the sun, and the North Star. Open ocean navigation was essentially impossible. If clouds covered the sky for days, European ships could drift hopelessly off course. But Chinese vessels were already crossing the Indian Ocean. They were trading with Africa, Arabia, and Southeast Asia. Their secret advantage? That simple floating needle. But wait. There's one more clue that makes this story even more fascinating. But, everything I just told you? That's just the setup. The mystery deepens when we examine why it took over 200 years for the compass to reach Europe. Think about it. Chinese traders were sailing to Arabia. Arab merchants had connections throughout the Mediterranean. Europeans were trading with both groups. So why the massive delay? Here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. The compass wasn't just a navigational tool in China. It was connected to deeply held beliefs about the natural order of the universe. Chinese philosophy held that the earth had invisible lines of energy. The compass revealed these forces. Sharing this knowledge with outsiders wasn't just giving away technology. It was exposing sacred cosmological secrets. Additionally, the compass gave Chinese merchants a massive competitive advantage. Why would they share their edge with trade rivals? The technology eventually did spread, likely through Arab intermediaries around the 12th century. But by then, Chinese navigators had been using it for over 1,000 years. Let me put this in perspective. That's like if one civilization today had a technology from the year 1025 that everyone else was just now discovering. And this is what they discovered when researchers dug deeper into ancient Chinese texts. The sophistication of early Chinese compass technology far exceeded what historians originally believed. Ancient engineers had figured out something remarkable about magnetization. They discovered that heating iron to a high temperature, and then letting it cool while aligned north to south created a stronger, longer-lasting magnet. This process, which modern scientists call thermoremanent magnetization, wasn't formally understood in the West until the 19th century. The ancient Chinese were using it over 1,000 years earlier. They also discovered that different shapes of needles held magnetism differently. Thin, elongated needles pointed more accurately than thick ones. They experimented with different metals and alloys. They tested which flotation methods worked best in various conditions. This wasn't just a lucky discovery that sat unchanged for millennia. It was a continuously refined technology developed through systematic experimentation. What would you have done with this knowledge? Would you have shared it with the world? Or protected it as your civilization's greatest secret? What the evidence actually shows is nothing short of revolutionary. The ancient Chinese compass didn't just predate European navigation by 1,000 years. It demonstrates something profound about human innovation. We often assume that scientific advancement requires modern institutions, formal education, and sophisticated equipment. But the compass proves that careful observation, systematic experimentation, and accumulated knowledge can produce world-changing technology. Consider what these ancient inventors achieved. They identified a natural phenomenon without understanding its cause. They found practical applications for it. They continuously improved the technology over generations. They integrated it into broader knowledge systems. They protected it as strategic intellectual property. This is essentially the same innovation process used by modern technology companies. The ancient Chinese weren't primitive people who got lucky. They were sophisticated engineers working within a different scientific paradigm. And their compass technology eventually changed everything. When it finally reached Europe, it enabled the age of exploration. Columbus, Magellan, da Gama. None of their voyages would have been possible without the floating needle invented by Chinese diviners over 1,000 years earlier. So what does this ancient compass mystery mean for us today? First, it should humble us. We look back at ancient peoples, and often assume they were less intelligent, or less capable than we are. The compass story demolishes that assumption. These inventors solved problems that modern scientists wouldn't fully understand for another millennium. Second, it reveals how knowledge spreads. Technology doesn't automatically flow to everyone who might benefit from it. It gets hoarded. It gets protected. It moves through unexpected channels. Understanding this helps us appreciate how fortunate we are to live in an age of relatively open information sharing. Finally, it reminds us that the biggest breakthroughs often come from unexpected places. Chinese fortune tellers weren't trying to revolutionize navigation. They were trying to predict the future. And in doing so, they accidentally gave humanity one of its most important tools. Sometimes the greatest discoveries happen when we're looking for something else entirely. The next time you use a compass app on your phone, remember, you're using technology that ancient Chinese diviners stumbled onto while trying to read the cosmic forces of the universe. The truth is, the compass is just one example of ancient Chinese scientific achievement that the world has underappreciated. Papermaking, gunpowder, printing, the seismograph, all invented in China centuries before similar discoveries elsewhere. And in each case, the same pattern emerges. Careful observation, systematic experimentation, continuous refinement, knowledge protection, eventual spread through trade networks. The ancient world was far more interconnected and scientifically sophisticated than our history books often suggest. Trade routes like the Silk Road weren't just moving goods. They were moving ideas, technologies, innovations that would reshape civilizations thousands of miles from their origin. But here's one more clue that historians are still piecing together. For every technology we know about, there may be others we've lost entirely. Ancient knowledge that never made it into the historical record. Innovations that died with their inventors. Techniques we're only now rediscovering through archaeology. The compass survived because it was useful enough to spread. But what else might ancient peoples have discovered that we'll never know about? Here's the question that keeps historians and archaeologists searching. If ancient civilizations could achieve something as sophisticated as magnetic navigation without modern scientific understanding, What else were they capable of? The compass teaches us to approach ancient achievements with respect rather than dismissal. When we encounter something that seems impossible for ancient peoples to have accomplished, the problem might not be with their capabilities. It might be with our assumptions. The Great Pyramid, the Antikythera mechanism, Roman concrete, Damascus steel. Each of these represents technology that took modern scientists years to understand or replicate. Not because ancient peoples had secret alien help, but because they were smart, patient, observant, and systematic. Just like us. The next mystery we decode might reveal another stunning example of ancient genius. Subscribe to decode more lost knowledge. Every mystery we solve reveals ancient genius, not ancient aliens. The truth is almost always more fascinating than the myth. So let me ask you, what ancient achievement impresses you the most? Or do you still think it was aliens? Let me know in the comments below. Now you know the truth about ancient Chinese compass technology. 1,000 years of innovation, passed down through generations, eventually changing the entire world. And the next mystery we uncover together might be even more incredible. That's how they really did it. Subscribe for more mysteries decoded. And tell me in the comments, what ancient enigma should we investigate next?